Okay, it's true, guys. It's a fact. I'm back with another portable Clint. Guys, I've known this next guy for a long time, but in my book, he's a trendsetter, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Breitmayer. Did I say it right?
Yeah. You said
okay. Good deal.
Trendsetter.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me just get right to it because. I've known you for a long time, but there's something that you did that I've never seen anyone else do when you did it.
Okay.
I've already kind of showed you my cards on what it was, but act surprised when I tell you.
I'm pretending like you haven't already told me this.
Okay. Yeah. He was the very first one, and I'm going to say out of everyone in Hollywood, because I don't know anyone else, he was the first person who had a colored headshot. Not a black and white. Yep. He goes, no, I'm going color. Tell me about that. Do you remember this?
I do specifically remember this. It had a green background.
Yep.
And my wife, for a while, was a photographer until she gave it up because she wasn't making enough money at it. But she had bought all this expensive equipment. She had this medium format camera back before digital. You know?
Sure.
And she was shooting really beautiful headshots of people moving forward. And then, and of course, I had to have her shoot mine because anytime I even hinted that I was going to like go to a photographer, she'd be like, "You live with it," So she did the session with me, and we just decided to do color. And I just looked at it, I thought, I think that's kind of what we should be doing now.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing black and white for how long?
Yeah, decades.
Forever. Like there ever was a time there was color.
No, exactly.
How long have we been doing color, Clint? God, like 15 years.
Yeah.
And before that, we did color like 50 years ago. No, so I shot it, and it's still to this day the best. I mean, we've done color since then, but to this day, it's been the best headshot I've ever had. In fact, I had an acting teacher, like I showed her for the first time in class. And she just looked at it for 1 second, and she went, "That's it right there, everybody.
Really?
That's Pete Breitmayer." It wasn't she was saying, like, "You're amazing." It was more like, "This is what you need to do to personify yourself and communicate who you are, is the cleanness of this." And
yes.
She's like, "Look at this shot, and then look at the Pete that you know."
Right.
And it says who he is.
Yeah.
So
it was great. It was great. Did you know that you were the first one, or did you see somebody else?
I don't know if I was the first one.
Well, just say you were, okay?
Okay, I was the first.
See, guys?
I was the first color shot.
Trendsetter.
Ever. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
In any city.
Yeah. Peter.
Yeah.
What was the first thought that you had about pursuing Hollywood?
You mean when I wasn't here yet?
Sure, whatever. I'm just talking about your very first thought. Like, to me...
Well, I was in Minneapolis.
Sure.
And working doing sketch comedy at the Riggs Breitmayer Workshop, which is like, what's the Minneapolis second city, I guess. And did a couple of movies there that had come from Hollywood. A really bad made-for-TV movie called The Stranger Within with Kate Jackson. And Rick Schroeder.
Oh.
And Rick Schroeder hit me on the head with a hammer in that
Did
movie.
he?
Yeah.
Did he really? I mean, did he mean to hit you in the head?
He was supposed to, and boy, did he. And then I got to lay in an open pit with Kate Jackson laying on me, and we were getting buried alive.
That's a Charlie's Angels on top of here.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Oh my God, there's a Charlie's Angel on me. And so, anyway, at some point I just started to think, it would be great to go see what I could do out there. And then a friend of mine decided to produce a play out here that was really successful in Minneapolis called The Bad Seed, like a send-up of that one about the little girl who's the murderer. They made a movie about it.
Yeah, with Macaulay Culkin, I think it became. No, I'm serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a movie called Bad Seed with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, the original was in the 50s
I
with
got
What's
you.
Her Face.
Okay, okay, I got you.
And he wanted to do, he had done this play a few times in Minneapolis, and it was hilarious, and we did it, it was a big send-up of it. So he came out here, we did it, a bunch of people stayed, a bunch of people left. And that's when I stayed, and then just started to kind of like hit the boards and try to make things. That was 1996.
Okay, so I looked at your IMDb last night. I go, wow, he started off with a Steven Spielberg movie, Catch Me If You Can. Mm-hmm. So I wrote that down. I go, wait, I better check if that's Steven Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can, and it wasn't.
No, it was Steven Sommers.
Oh, really?
Catch Me If You Can.
Oh,
Steven Sommers, the guy that did like the G.I. Joe movie, some other action stuff. Yeah, that was like a movie they shot in Minneapolis. One of the ones I did in Minneapolis, where I played Stokowski, and got my first kind of taste of working on like a Hollywood set.
Okay, so you're out here in '96.
Mm-hmm.
You just stayed out here. What's your first big move on shaking trees in Hollywood?
I went and got a commercial agent, went to KMR, because I had a reel from Minneapolis of some stuff, and that was the one kind of thing I really had a reel of, not so much the theatrical stuff, obviously, because there wasn't much there. And went to KMR, and they'd actually recognized, like, they'd seen me on TV.
Really? Nice.
You know, and they were like, and a bunch of our friends were there, some people who had already moved out here from Minneapolis, because there was such a big Minnesota clan that's developed since then, but at the time there was a pretty good sized one too. And they took me on, and then like 5 months later, I booked like a Lynx golf spot. That was my first spot. I was an hour and a half late because I didn't understand I didn't understand distances in LA yet. Even though I grew up here as a kid, I lived here till I was 12, like Monrovia, Arcata, then moved to Minnesota, then moved back. I still didn't know. And so I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is down near the beach at blah blah blah, you know.
Yeah.
And I like looked up the Thomas guide, and I'm
right.
and I'm driving down there, and I'm like an hour and a half late. Nobody even noticed.
Really?
No, because there were like 25 principals in this thing. They weren't even close to getting to us. So.
I have a full freak out when I'm 5 minutes late.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I was losing it. Because my first job in LA, my very first job, and I thought, this is it, man.
And
I'm
nobody
gonna be
noticed.
Blackballed.
Yeah. Oh, he's late. He's an hour and a half late.
Send
guy.
out a message to everybody saying, "Do not hire this loser." You know.
Okay, so no one noticed, and you had a great. Was that a national or?
It was a national, and it was right during that time when a lot of the Fargo stuff was going on. So I think they hired me because they said, "Hey, do a Minnesota accent," and I did this goofball, you reamed it like they were hitting balls.
Oh, okay.
And then the director howled and said, I love that Minnesota thing, and then they got me in there. So.
Which we'll talk later about Fargo. You end up doing a Fargo TV, the TV series.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that in a sec.
Okay.
So you shoot the Link. That's your first big national. And do you think that times are great now? Like it's just going to be...
I think, I finally broke that ceiling,
Okay.
And then, stuff started coming a little bit more regularly. I mean, that was back when everybody was busy.
Yeah.
Like that was back when you'd be going out like 8 times a week.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, and because I was new, I think a lot of people were seeing me for the first time.
Right.
We'll see him. So yeah, I mean, then just some more commercial. It took a couple of years for me to get a theatrical agent. Then I had one for briefly, and then I left them, and then I got another one, and now I'm with the one I've been with for a long time, Alice.
Okay, well, your first credit that stands out to me was Drop Dead Fred. I always like to stop at the movies that I like.
Yeah, sure.
Drop Dead Fred, how'd you book that?
That was in Minneapolis.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of my Minneapolis jobs. I did 3 movies in Minneapolis. I did Drop Dead Fred, Jingle All the Way, and Stranger Within, I believe. There might be another one in there I'm forgetting about. But Drop Dead Fred at Go to Hell Herman was one of my second movie I'd ever done.
So you actually got a lot of homework done before you even moved out here. I mean, you had
to a degree,
yeah.
I mean, I'd done some stuff, but I was kind of an insecure person, to be honest. So like when I came out here, I wasn't like I look at the other guys in my category, the other 50s character actors, guys from Chicago who showed up, and they're just all balls out, like, come on, let's go, I can handle this place. And I feel like I showed up and I pretended to be like that. But inside, I didn't feel like I was that. I still felt like I was on the outside.
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah. We all do, I think.
Yeah,
It's still the thing of, like, you think the guys with the black ties are going to show up at your door and say, all right, it's done.
Yeah.
You've faked it.
You got to go, dude. Yeah, exactly.
You've been found out.
Yeah. Okay, Peter, I'm going to ask you a question. How many TV shows have you done with the name, with the title, with the word middle in the title?
It's very funny that you mentioned that, because that's one of my standing jokes. Like if I do a benefit or something like that, is I've done The Middle, Stuck in the Middle. I've done a few episodes of Stuck in the Middle. There's 2 more. Malcolm in the Middle.
Wait, there's a fourth? I only knew about the 3.
I feel like there's a fourth that I'm
I bet
missing
there is a
somewhere.
fourth.
Maybe it was like a short film or something like that. It might not have been a TV show, but yeah, a lot of middle stuff and a lot of scenes in bathrooms.
Really?
I've done a lot in Fargo. I had scenes coming out of bathroom stalls. I played a guy in a shower in a movie about used car salesmen, where I'm in the shower crying my eyes out because I got screwed on a car deal. I think I've got like 2 other toilet related. I don't know why they keep sticking me in the men's room.
Well, hey, whatever
Apparently
works.
They think it's fitting.
Whatever works. Okay, so let's because I want to get to the middle. Okay, but I don't want to get in. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Tell me about your career up until the middle. When's the serious guy? What's that movie you did?
The Serious Man.
The Serious Man. Which that's when I don't want to say the word. It wasn't jealous. That's when I was like, dude, Peter's doing some really good stuff now because he's not doing just commercials. He's doing big movies with the Coen. It was who was it? It wasn't the Coen brothers.
It's the Coen brothers.
Yeah, it was the Coen brothers. That's what I thought.
I was that when you bring it up, I get a little, because I was very excited to get that and very surprised and very grateful and felt like I was kind of getting ahead of myself. But even though I think I was capable, I knew what I was doing. But like you feel that thing of like, oh my God, the Coen brothers and put me in a movie. And it wasn't like a huge part, but it was a really pivotal part. Like they'd make jokes on set, like say, "Well, what Mr. Brandt think of this?" That was their big thing because he's the next door neighbor.
Right.
And when I actually read for that in Minneapolis because we were
while
visiting.
you were still living.
No, I was living
visiting
here.
Okay.
And we were back there visiting because we had a place there that we rented out a lot of the time, and we decided to spend the summer there one summer.
Okay.
So the person, we had a renter leave. We went and spent the summer. I contacted my old agent saying, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm here." And she said, "Hey, Coen Brothers are casting something. You want to come in like in 2 days?"
Wait, you tell me
there's a good Brady Bunch rerun on. I don't want to come and see the Coen Brothers.
Wait, you mean to tell me you just happened to call your agent?
I happened to be in town. I literally, in fact, I don't think it was a call. I think I just stopped in to say hi because I'd been in town for 2 days. And she says, "Oh my gosh, the Coen Brothers are casting a film here. Do you want to go in for this?" I'm like, "Of course I would." Because they were casting in L.A., New York, Chicago for this part. And I went in, and I went in and read for the casting director, and then she was like, I want you to meet the boys. So I came back like 2
She
days
said,
later.
"Meet the boys."
I wanted to meet the boys.
Okay.
Yeah. And or something respectful.
Sure.
And so I decided that I was going to, I thought, I think this part's mine if I really wanted to be. I just felt this sense, like I thought, I think this is going to be my part. I don't know why. I feel like it. My wife was looking at me like, I know we kind of all, like, I'm always like telling you and building you up, but this time it's weird. You came home and I felt like this may be your thing.
Wow.
And I had an old picture of myself in front of him. I'm holding my hand up.
Right, yeah, like they can
see
it. Yeah.
A little picture of myself standing in front of a truck on Grand Avenue in St. Paul in the middle of the winter, and I had one of those black and red ear flap hats on, like Minnesota hats. And the guy had cleverly put a plastic Bambi on the grill of his truck, and he'd X'd out the eyes, like he'd shot this deer.
Yeah.
And I had a shot of myself leaning and looking at this, So I blew it up and I put it in my pants, and I went in to see these guys, and I said, if this goes really well, I'm going to do this Columbo bit where I'm going to get to the door and say, "Oh wait, I want to show you a picture." If it doesn't go so well, I won't do it. Because you know how risky it is to do something like that.
Yeah.
Like you have to make a good, smart choice.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I just was prepped for it, and I went in and I read, and they were like, yeah. They came up, they shook my hand. I was like, "Holy shit, man!" They liked it. Oh my god!
They don't shake hands.
Yeah,
when
they're
they don't
looking
like
at me
you.
in the eye. I'm like, oh. And I went to the door and I went, one more thing. I have I shot a 7-point buck a couple years ago, and I got a shot of myself with this buck up at because I looked like I was a hunter.
Right.
I'm not a hunter. I mean, from Minnesota, I'm an outdoorsy guy, but I'm not a hunter.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, they're thinking, oh, he was going to show us a picture of him with some deer he shot, and I pull it out, and it's me leaning over this thing, and Ethan looks at it, and he goes, and then he goes to give it back to me. I said, no, you can keep that. It's for you. And then they left.
And then the
rest is history. Anyway, that's too long of a story.
No, it's not.
It was funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tell me this: how did you find out you booked it? I want to know about that.
I think like a day later.
But when you left, did you still have that feeling that it was
when
yours?
I left, I felt that weird thing that you get where, like, I mean, sometimes you're wrong about this.
Sure.
Obviously, you think, oh my God, it's mine, and then you never hear it.
I've been wrong a lot of times.
I've been wrong a dozen of times, but this time I felt like I don't know, And so then when I got the call, I was pretty ecstatic because I've always wanted to do something, because I auditioned for the original Fargo when I lived in Minneapolis and didn't get it. I didn't get the part, the cop at the top of the movie that goes out to check out the two dead guys with the long face and the big nose. He was perfect, so I mean, I wasn't upset that I didn't get it, but I was. And I just walked away and thought that I hope I get this call, and then I got the call, and then they made me wait. I had to wait weeks to shoot. I mean, they kept moving the date, so we stayed in town.
Were you getting nervous that they kept pushing the date?
Yes, because they were looking for a kid who would be a doppelganger kid. The kid who plays my son, they wanted a kid who looked just like me. And they kept looking around in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and finally, like a Minnesota agent remembered a kid that they used to represent who lived in Wisconsin. They pulled this kid in, and he looked just like me. He was a really nice kid, but he had Asperger's, and he was 12, but it was like he was 7 or 8. Sweet kid though,
okay.
But he was real talky. And they brought him to set, and we did, and I met him at the wardrobe fitting, and when I went to the table read, the boys said, "So have you met your son?" And I went, and I said, "I'll handle it. I'll take care of it." And they're like, "Okay," because he was a handful.
Really?
Yeah, and eventually they got what they wanted. There was a while there. We were shooting, and they shot this one take 16 times, and I thought it was all about you. Think it's all about you? Like, I suck. I'm terrible. Why do they keep shooting this take? And they pulled me away, and they said, "Hey, listen, I want to tell you something. Never be in a shot with a tour bus that has to drive by at an exact certain time, and a kid who keeps looking in the camera lens, because nobody's watching you anymore." He goes, I watched you the first 2 takes, and I said, "He's fine. Now can we get the damn tour bus to drive by?" Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Peter, do you think if you were in Los Angeles when they were casting that film that you would have even got in?
No. And I told my agents here that at the time, and I was with them at the time, and when I booked it out of Minnesota, they said, "Well, if you would have been here, we would have." I said, "I don't know. I love my agents here, but it's like, I don't know if you would have got me in, because in Minneapolis, there's 60 guys chasing 20 slots. In here, there's 400 guys chasing 80 slots, 70 slots, you know what I mean?" And I thought maybe I wouldn't get in, even though I'm from Minnesota. And also it did help that I consider myself a local hire there, because I happened to be staying there at the time.
This was local hire before local hire was a local hire thing.
And they were really like, the budget was not huge for that movie, and I think that they were like, he's right, it's the right choice, and he lives here, so we don't have to spend $20,000 extra to house him and fly him.
Perfect.
But I did have that discussion with him, saying, I said, I know you guys would have tried to get me in, but I don't know if I would have.
Okay, well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. The Coen brothers, dude. That's big.
It was a big deal to me, and I think it's one of their better movies. I'm not just saying it just because I'm in it, but I really think it's a beautiful, great film of theirs, and probably one of their better movies.
Okay, was that before the first episode of the middle you shot?
Yeah.
Okay, was there anything else before the middle that you booked?
I worked with Clint Eastwood doing Changeling. I was in Changeling, that movie about the woman whose kid gets kidnapped.
Yeah, with his Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, did that. Did some other did some other this and that kind of stuff like we all do in commercials and blah blah. And then the middle came along. And
tell me about the middle, because it's my family's favorite show. I'm going to stop here for a second.
Okay.
Tell me about the first audition. Tell me, was it just a one-day thing that you were auditioning for? Tell me about that, please, sir.
I went in to read for Chris Kattan's part, and I read that part. And but then the producers liked me, and they were from Ohio. They were Midwesterners, and they liked the Midwestern people, and it's a Midwestern show, So I went in, I read, and thought I did well, and they laughed, and then I thought, this is a great part. This is a great part. The friend of the lead and blah blah. And then they had me come back in and read for Pete Miller instead, which was great. And it didn't take long. It was like I think I read twice maybe. Because it's not like a huge part. It's just a good decent recurring role. But and then they just I just got the call, and I was excited. And then I got on set, and I really got along with the cast. Really got along with Patty. Got along with everybody, And
I always want to work with her, so I can call her Patty.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she's a very sweet person, and she's always been really good to me. Patricia Heaton, and really an advocate of mine, and likes, and she's been to dinner at my house.
Really?
And she's you know we've
How
hung
did
out a
you
few
get her
times,
at
not
your
very
house?
much.
How did you get her at your house?
Well, my nephew is a cordon bleu chef, and he was coming to town to do a meal, and we did this whole thing where we're like, well, he wants to do a sit-down meal for 18 people so he can make connections in LA doing catering. And so I started thinking about, well, who should I invite? Blah, blah, and I reached out to her and said, hey, do you want to come to this meal? And surprisingly enough, she was like, my family's out of town, and I'd love to. Because she always talks about, she says, people, she always would say, because everybody thinks that like stars are always busy socially and always doing this stuff. She goes, nobody calls.
Really?
Everybody's afraid of you. Like everybody's afraid of reaching out to be your friend because they always assume that you always have all these other friends, and why would you want to spend any time with them?
Wow.
You know what I mean? So she was, she came over, and I had a bunch of other friends and a few other people that I thought could help Gil, make a life out here as a chef and stuff like that. But so that was fun.
Okay,
but
that's
she's,
great.
she's, and everybody else in that show is fantastic too. They're all really nice, and the producers are really nice, and directors.
How many episodes did you end up shooting?
I did 13, I think. So I didn't do that many in the course of the 10 seasons. I mean, what happened is like 3 seasons in, she got fired from the dealership.
Okay.
So the existence of a nemesis at the dealership was not something that every once in a while I get a call saying, hey, they're thinking about bringing you to this birthday party. Like you still live in town.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
felt
gonna
like
be
I
at a
saw you at
picnic
something
or
like-
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, there was like a picnic thing I think I was at, afterwards. And then they brought me back like the 5th episode before the very end of everything because they go to the dealership to buy a car for the son or trade in a motorhome or whatever. And they gave me a little speech, and it was fun.
Okay, last thing on it. When you read that she was being fired from the car lot, did you freak out?
No, because I didn't find out that she was being fired from the car lot until I showed up for the table read.
Okay, while you're doing the table read, tell me about
it.
it.
So I show up to do the table read.
Yeah.
And Catan's not there, and Brian Doyle Murray isn't there. They had reasons they weren't here, but I was like, I wonder why they're not here. And I always wondered, like, are they not here out of sort of protest because this is happening, or to like kind of go, well, I'm not going to come to because it was their final episode, not their final, but like, because I think Brian Doyle Murray did a few more, and Chris did a few more as the buddy, and stuff like that. But I don't know what they could. I'm sure they had legitimate reasons, but I didn't even know this was happening. And so when Gabby called me and said, hey, they want you to come back, they want you to do this another episode. It had been like 3 episodes. I thought, oh great, And I show up and I'm at the table read and we're reading the thing, and it gets to the point where she gets fired.
Oh man!
And I put on a smiley face.
You have
and
to.
I kind of just, and I looked over at Patty, and she kind of went, but the thing is, these things happen all the time, as we know. It's nothing personal.
Nothing.
And so I obviously didn't have an attitude about it. I just was I was grateful for what I had gotten.
Yeah.
And I said thank you to people, and it was sort of like the producers kind of came up to me, and we didn't really talk about it much, but it was okay. But it was a bit of a surprise. And I called my agent and said, well, guess what? This is it.
Oh, I'm sure they didn't want to hear that.
No, Gabby was like, I am going to call G. Charles and give him shit for that.
Casting
director.
director.
Because he had not told her. And maybe he didn't. I mean, he probably did. I love G. Charles. He's great. But it's like, she called him and gave him some shit for not letting him know.
Oh, man. Seriously, it would have been nice to have a heads up
it would
going
have been
into
nice
that
to just
table.
know mentally that this was it.
Okay.
That's it.
That comes to an end. What's your next big thing after that? Take a drink of your coffee.
Yeah, let's think. What have I done since then? I've done some guest star stuff.
Listen,
I'm
not worried about you because you're very successful in both areas. So
we've done the progressive thing for about 10 years.
That's
now.
okay. Hang on, hold on.
Okay, I won't jump in. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
no,
I
that's
won't
fine.
do the interview.
No, I'm excited to ask you that question, but I want to work up to it so you get an audition for Progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the audition that you get for Progressive.
I go into audition for Progressive, and it's a one-off thing. It's just a guy from another insurance agency she's dealing with because he's claiming, the usual things. And then I book it.
Who's the casting director? I like to see the whole picture.
It's so bad of me that I'm forgetting who the casting director was.
Was it the girl on Cole by Target?
Why am I forgetting because it was so long ago.
It's okay. We'll
Anyway,
go
sorry.
back. We'll circle back.
They were a wonderful person, and they gave me a job that lasted a long, long time.
Yeah.
That's who they were.
And he doesn't
I'm
remember.
forgetting. Thanks. This is not going to be edited. There's no way.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Whatever the ungratefulness is coming through. I'm terrible with that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh God, I'm so grateful. So touched and grateful. I really am. Honestly, honestly. So anyway, so I get this thing, and then on the other side of the coin, Brad McDonald gets a call. I don't know anything about this. Like I know
Brad McDonald's the other dude.
He's the other dude, and I know Brad from Minnesota. He's kind of in our circle of friends, but I don't know. I'm not like super close to him, but we know each other. We see each other at Minnesota East stuff, And he gets a call and says,
Allison Horn.
No.
Casting. Okay, go ahead.
He gets a call and he says, or he gets a call from them and they say, hey, we want to add you to the mix of this. We'll have 2 guys instead of 1 and blah, blah. I don't know anything about this.
Oh, wow.
So a day before we work, I find out from my agent that Brad McDonald is the other guy, and we call each other, and we're giddy as schoolgirls, like, let's carpool to Long Beach. It's like, so we carpool to Long Beach to shoot this thing, and some of them were shot in Hollywood, some of them were shot in Long Beach, but from that day forward, and then we thought, it's done. We did one, we're done.
Yeah.
And then they just liked the guys, and they kept bringing us back, and that's what's made my insurance, that's what's made, half my income, and it's been great. I mean, it's been a really real blessing in the times of the industry changing so much to be in a traditional.
You got in a good one.
We don't have contracts. It's all spot to spot, but still, it's been fairly consistent and really consistent. And it's been really, really a good thing to have.
How many have you done? How many 24. Progressive? 24.
About 24. I might be off 1 or 2 there, but yeah.
When is the last time you did one?
We did one in October. And we haven't done one since then. It's kind of slowed down over the last couple of years as far as the frequency per year. And everything. I mean, I don't want to say this, but everything runs at some point.
Sure,
We've been going
know.
for 10 years. It's like you can't expect it to go on forever. But Flow has become an icon.
Yep.
It's the advertising students will be studying that campaign forever because it's just of the way that it's kind of infiltrated the American zeitgeist.
Right. Well, Peter, the fact that you got a nice recurring gig in the TV world, and you got a nice recurring gig on the commercial world. That's big.
It is big.
I mean, you're very blessed to have
I'm
that.
really blessed to have that, and it's kind of sustained me and my family, and my wife has a business now too, but it's still growing, and so that's been a big thing, and especially in these changing times, and so I've been really grateful for that.
Okay, then let's get to the worst time in Hollywood. Then this be a good time for the worst time.
I think I got fired from something that kind of. What was the thing I got fired from? It's like I'm blacking it out because it was so bad. Shane Casting.
The original Progressive casting director that you forgot.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I've had those instances. I had an instance where I got. I won't get to, but where I got something and then I was driving to the set and I got the call that they decided to do somebody else.
Why? Do you know why they did that?
Do you ever know?
No, I didn't know if they kind of told you.
No,
later.
I think it was. I mean, I just don't know if I was the right tone or if somebody's, somebody better came along.
Did that mess with you at all? Did that stay with you?
Not for very long. Like when stuff happens to me in this town, and maybe this could be a good thing or a bad thing. You know how we have the thing where you prepare for your audition, you go in, you do the best you can, and you go have lunch.
Sure.
And you forget about it because you have no power. The only power you have is how well you do in that room, really.
Yeah.
And so you go in and you do great, and then you walk away, and you don't have. And when you're new to town, you don't do that. You're hanging on, where am I going to get the call? I haven't got the call. Blah blah. And I feel like as the years go on, you still think if it's something like a big deal, like it's the Coen Brothers, or if it's this or that, you're thinking about it, and you're like, God, I wonder if I'm going to get that. But a lot of stuff you go in for, you apply yourself, and then you try to forget about it, right?
Try.
And so, I think, it's over time, the disappointments last a shorter amount of time.
That is true.
They're intense.
Yep, but they last shorter.
They last shorter.
That is
like
very
you
true.
get over it a little bit quicker, and you have to, you move on. And we all know, like the people who end up making it here are the people who don't leave, the people who stick around.
Yep.
It's the marathon, not the sprint, right?
Amen, brother.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Yep, that's right.
And you keep your chops up, and you try to go out there and do well. Can I tell a story about you?
Please.
So when I was doing this Toyota campaign years ago, and I had to be there for the auditions for the other principal actors coming in, and you came in to audition for this one part, and you were great. You killed it, as you always do. But you know how, like, we never see each other audition.
Sure.
Like, you've known these guys. I've known all you guys since 1996 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see each other in the green room, in the waiting room, hi, and it's like, these guys are great, man, everybody's so talented, blah, blah. But you're never in the room, so you don't know what people are like. So you came in to audition for this thing, and afterwards I thought, there's two kinds of actors, and I'm the other kind. You came in, you were hilarious. You made the director laugh, you made the producer laugh, and then you did the audition, you were really, really funny. And then afterwards, you did a bunch of funny shit, like you were just fucking around, having a good time, sitting in this chair, all this stuff. And then you kind of, and then you like kind of hit the road, and, and the door slammed. And I was like, shit, man, I never do that. Like, I'm the other kind. I'm the guy that goes in and I put it all in the audition, and then it's like, thank you, and then I leave. And it's like, Clint's the guy, and I thought, I wonder how many other guys are like where they come in and like, it's a whole show. It's a show from when you walk in, and I don't mean that negative, I mean that like as a compliment. It's a show from the moment you walk through the door to the moment you exit. You were putting on this show, and it was a good show.
Thank you.
I remember being very impressed by that, and thought, and I started to think, maybe I should recalibrate.
Well, I think you're doing just fine. I do, but thank you for that.
Were great,
thank you. Peter, I want to talk to you one last thing about Fargo.
Sure.
I love the Fargo series. You were in the very first one, right?
Yes, the very first season.
Did the Coen brothers help you get that?
Well, I don't know if the Coen brothers. Noah Hawley wrote that whole thing, and there'd been an attempt to make a series before, and it just wasn't quite right. He wrote those episodes, and he went to the Coen brothers, and they apparently read the pilot, and they said, it's like you're channeling us. So essentially they were kind of like, they knighted him, and they sent him on, say, go make good TV. But they had nothing to do, they executive produced, but they had nothing to do with it. They never showed up on the set, none of that stuff. But I think the fact that I had come in and read, and by the way, it's the best job I've ever done.
Really?
The series, the Fargo series is the thing, I think it's one of the top two proudest things that I've ever done.
Okay, we're going to end on that. I want to know why, and tell me why.
Well, because it was such a good fit for me, and I went in and I read for this guy, and I knew who this guy was right away, and it was very exciting to work with Bob Odenkirk and work with the guys that I did, and Colin Hanks and all these guys, and Noah Hawley had written it's some of the best TV writing I've ever seen. That first, all the seasons are great, but that first season, I think, is some of the best TV writing I've ever encountered. And you're just working with just these powerhouse people who are so good, and you get to tell this whole story. And Martin Freeman, being at the hotel lobby bar and hearing stories about The Office and hearing all his stuff, and it's just because. And then I met Allison Tolman on that.
Okay.
And she's really, she's a great, I think we know who she is. She's a Chicago actress who's now become huge. She actually did a play that I produced. I asked her to be in it, didn't think she was going to say yes, and she did, which was great. And it was great because it was like an all the stars aligning kind of thing. And it was also great because I got to do, I think it was in 5 episodes. So I felt like I was part of the story. I wasn't just stepping in and out, so I was really part of the story. I felt like the middle was a great blessing to have, but I never quite felt like I was really part of the story. I felt like I was kind of like a punched-in thing. And so that's what really made the difference. And we shot in Calgary, which was fun, and it was, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It was just the feel like I had this conversation with Billy Bob Thornton in the green room the first day I worked, where I basically went on about Sling Blade and how much Sling Blade meant to me, and how that's one of my top 5 movies.
It is so great.
It is one of my top 5 films. And
good.
I said, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This truly is one of my top 5. And he told me the whole story about how he made.
It was a short at first.
Yeah, and he was like, and he didn't have, his producers didn't have the money. They were shooting Arkansas, and they were like trying to raise money every day on the phone, and they didn't have the money, and they didn't tell him because they didn't want to freak him out.
Yeah.
You know? And he just went on about, you know, it was basically this labor of love. But I love that movie, and he's great in Fargo, and I felt. And I got to do scenes in the bathroom with Bob Odenkirk.
There you go, man.
Bob Odenkirk stood next to me urinating, or pretending to urinate, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember.
And so yeah, it was you know, that was an amazing and great experience.
Okay, crazy question. Are you an Emmy member?
Am I an Emmy member?
Emmy member. You know
No.
why not?
I should be a member of the television.
The Emmy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you know what? My agent keeps saying, "Hey, I'll do a recommendation," and Miley Flanagan has said to me, "I'll do a recommendation." I keep forgetting to get
Do
on.
it. Do
So
it
should I
right now.
do-
Yeah, you should
I'll
totally
it.
do that, because
I should do it.
your work is so great that if you put yourself out there, you would be nominated for your work. And it's easier than you think. No, I'm
really?
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll talk to you more about that later.
Yeah, I should
and you
become a
work,
member.
Any of
Yeah.
you working actors out there, go to Emmy.org and sign up. It's much easier than you think. They have the best parties, and the stars of the shows come to the parties, and they have to be nice to you because they want your vote.
Sure.
So I'm not saying, you know, I know it's kind of
you're
fake,
saying it.
but it's a great world. It's a great world.
I should do that. Yeah.
And it's FYC.
I feel like I should do that. I feel like I've qualified for it for years, and for some reason I haven't.
We'll talk in a
followed
second.
through.
Yeah. All right. Peter, anything else you want to tell the people out there in Hollywood land and the surrounding areas?
You know, I just want to say, I mean, I feel like most of the people that watch this are other actors, I'm assuming, right?
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm just like all the rest of you. We were all trying to make something happen, to stay in the industry, stay in the business, so we're not, you know, running around trying to make a living in another way, so we can focus on it. And I guess even with all the changes that are going on, I hope that people kind of stay steadfast and believe in themselves, and, you know, and just keep pushing forward. You know, like, I'm 54 now, and there's times when I feel I've lost a little fire in the belly for the business part of it. I don't feel like I've lost fire in the belly for the work and for the acting.
Right.
But sometimes it's like, ugh, good Lord, am I going to do this for?
I know, I know.
And you kind of like think, well, what else do I want to do? I don't want to do anything else.
I don't either,
you
and
know?
it's better
So
to
like,
show up and just to still keep showing up.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Even those days you don't want to keep showing up.
And I think, and I want to thank Clint for doing this, because I think that unintentionally, or maybe intentionally, you're sharing stories with people about the regular workaday actors who are out there, as opposed to, I mean, it's great to hear the stories about the people who are huge, or you know, and I love that you got Eric Sonetreat in here, but you also got like other guys that are like us, that
I
are
want
just like working dogs.
every
you know?
source. I want every level.
And I think it's great to be sharing those stories with people, and I think it's, I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you driving all the way over here and doing this. Hey, Peter, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Tell everybody bye out there.
Hey, bye everybody.